Hi, I'm Meg Leonard, and I'm a New Mexico landscape artist. This is my gallery exhibit at the Oasis Gallery in Albuquerque, and I want to welcome you. This show has been extended through November of 2020. Due to the COVID virus, not too many people have been able to physically see the show, and so I'm thankful that the Oasis has extended the opportunity to see it. The quality of light is probably the most important element for these paintings in the studio to be developed. What I try to revisit is when I was at that place, that particular place outside, I think about the birds, so I will really pay attention to the sounds, the feeling of the air movement, the smells. I also like to taste little things that I find, you know, the metallic taste of different stones. The nighttime is one of those series that I have done that started with a time when I was up in Pilar on the Rio Grande, looking at the night skies. I saw the northern lights. Most people can't believe it, but I did. And that was a springboard for a lot of night paintings. I find it amazing when you wake up in the middle of the night because of storm activity, electrical activity, and the lightning is illuminating the ground in such mysterious and magical ways. I love it when a bird flies through a sky that I'm working on painting, and that becomes the necessary element to really give it movement and bring it to life. To walk in the night along the Rio Grande is something where I've gone to look at the moon coming up, reflected on the water, the shadows under the cottonwood trees, and that sense of mystery and quiet and peace and calm is with me as I complete the painting. So I grew up in Ohio, and it was sort of an idyllic suburban childhood, but there were two people who lived next door, both of whom were teachers, and they kind of scooped me out of my mom's brood, with my parents very happy, to watch what I was doing and develop my ability to draw, which they both recognized when I was about 3 years old, and in fact they saved drawings from that time period, where I was putting in eye pupils and eyelashes and all of the fingers and fish under the water's surface and expressions on the sun. So for a 3 to 4 year old, that was, I guess, pretty remarkable at the time. They continued to influence me through my whole childhood. I spent every minute there, learning to weave, learning to cane chairs, gardening, growing, baking, reading, playing the piano. And so I think the integration of everything in life, heavy focus on the crafts, it was about instilling your own personal aesthetic and making it the best that you can. Important influence for me, as well as the strong educational program in the Ohio schools at that time, which really integrated a lot of art, music, theater, dance, and so I had a good start, good foundation. Went on to Miami University, where I double majored in fine arts, painting and drawing, and nursing. I always loved biologic sciences. I loved learning and studying detail of organisms. When I graduated from nursing school and started my first job, I met a couple nurses who had lived in New Mexico at one time. The three of us decided to embark on a road trip the following year. That road trip was getting out of the Ohio flatlands, but following the horizon and watching the changes in the dynamic energy on the horizon, going west. So our mission was to hit as many national parks as we could, take about 3 months, and our journey in Colorado. Well, I was drawing during watching weather, watching mountain changes, shadows, and I fell in love ultimately with New Mexico. From the minute we drove across the state line, I could see contrasting colors in nature like I'd never seen before. Absolutely dazzling light and fabulous geology, everything that I remembered back from studying in earth science. Well, even though I raised a family, had my nursing career in Wisconsin, I came to New Mexico every chance I could for 35 years. And my goal was to relocate once the kids were launched. That finally did happen about 14 years ago. And I stumbled onto the most wonderful community between Albuquerque and Santa Fe, where there's a strong component of art celebration. We have the Placida Studio Tour every year, except for this current year because of COVID. Chosen to be the poster artist for the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta one year, which was an absolute thrill. I felt like all that New Mexico has given me in terms of its magnificence, beauty, solace, wonder, I would be able to give back. And so that's what I tried to do, and it was a great success. I had a very, very good friend who was also an avid hiker, an artist, a poet, and we shared some remarkable hikes where I was able to confidently travel and be left alone to paint or draw with pastel. And then at the end of the day, we'd kind of wrap it up, but check in with each other on a weekly basis to see what progress was coming as a result of that time outdoors. Well, we set annual goals. Every New Year's Day, we would decide what was the next step for our development as artists. He was from West Texas, and I was familiar with the art culture of Marfa, Texas. I suggested that we try to have a dual show there in Marfa. That was my goal, to create some work that was reflecting the vast landscape, the terrain, the dynamic skies in West Texas and Big Bend National Park. So it took a couple trips there, sort of as pilgrimages. My friend passed away unexpectedly, but I did want to follow through on that commitment that I had made. And so I found a wonderful gallery in Marfa at the Paisano Hotel, which is a historic landmark, and the gallery space and ballroom were filled with my paintings of West Texas and my friend's sculpture and poetry books. It was absolutely lovely. The time I went there was certainly a time of reflection, a time of more awe, really, wonder, resolving the fact that this person who loved that area was gone, but you really, really are faced with the rugged nature, that the brutal environment, the harshness of the terrain, and how people survive and animals survive in that climate. The painting behind me is called Evening Walk on Sage Hill, which is the name of my street. And more so than creating a painting of a place, my intent is really to just kind of distill everything that's beautiful in a moment. So there's wind, there's birds, the temperature of the air, how fast the light shifts, and what is it that is the most compelling thing that I keep looking at when I'm walking. And in this case, it's these cliffs over here on Santa Ana Pueblo. So I want the painting to kind of support what it is that's compelling about the moment. And of course, the sunsets are absolutely glorious. So I don't just do sunsets, but I really enjoy different times of day. and again, finding that real special interaction between colors, what happens on the horizon, and wherever most of the energy is in the setting. I do enjoy a lot of hiking, and so most of these have been done here in New Mexico in various places that I've hiked. I'm so grateful that I am surrounded by so much beauty here. The landscape, nature is the greatest teacher. It gives us information on every level down to your soul. And there's truth, there's comfort, there's peace, there's magnificence, that sense of awe and wonder. With gazing at the most minute detail, plant, rock, mountain and cloud. It's a constant source of solace.